Hi everybody, it's Sally here, and today I'm going to show you how to eliminate frilly edges from your ribbing. Quite often when you take your ribbing off your machine, it comes out like that, and you don't really want it to come out like that. You actually want it to come out a bit more like that. So a nice neat edge along the ribbing instead of all this frilly wiggliness going on. So now a lot of people swear by a thing called the broken toe cast on method, but I quite honestly think that my way of doing it is not only quicker and easier, but why run the risk of breaking your toes if you don't have to, because these bloody ribber weights weigh an absolute ton. I think each one of those must weigh a good pound, and if the thought of 3 or 4 or 5 of them dropping on my feet is not a thing I relish. So this is why I use this method for getting rid of my frilly ribs. It works and it's easy. So here we go. Oh, and by the way, for those of you that might be wondering where exactly here is, when I say it's Sally here, I live in Bodmin in Cornwall, right down in the far southwest of the United Kingdom. Think Daphne du Maurier, think Poldark, think wild and windswept moors, and that's where I'm at. I live on the outskirts of the town. My house is about 1/4 of a mile away from Bodmin Jail, which has recently, bits of it, been renovated and turned into quite a swish hotel. So if any of you ever come down to this part of the country, do investigate staying there. Come and say hello. Right, oh, what am I taking that off for? I don't want that off. I want it on. So I've got my ribber carriage on, and I'm going to take off my regular sinker plate and put the ribber joiner arm in, so I can join my 2 beds together. And all you need for this quick and easy tip is a piece of ravel cord. So let's thread up some white yarn. This is just an old 4-ply acrylic I'm using for me demo. Park it up the end there. I'm just going to cast on about, sorry, I've lost my yarn pusher. Oh god, why do these things always go AWOL one minute you want one? Oh, here it is. Right, I'm going to cast on about 80 stitches, so 41 across to 40, and then ribber up and connect the beds and put my intermediate needles in place. Now the Silver Reed Knitmaster Studio, whatever you want to call them, instruction books for ribbing always tell you to start with your cast on zigzag, start from left to right. So that's the convention I always follow, but I keep my carriages on the right hand side while I set my needles up, and I push all the needles out to D, and then as I knit them across to collect the yarn, I can see whether any of the needles are going to crash into one another or do something that they shouldn't. So all smooth. So now I'm collecting my yarn on the left hand side, which is slightly out of shot, but there you can see it, and I'm going to knit my zigzag row as normal. So I want my tension dials, both of them at 0, both the side levers on the main carriage forwards on dot, both the set levers on the ribber carriage at 1, and all Russell levers, both carriages set at 2. Knit my zigzag row as normal and insert comb. For those of you that have trouble wiggling the comb in and out, particularly as with this Silver Reed method and the carriages on the right, it's easier to insert the wire from the left hand side. If you push the comb up through the beds, you can use a bulldog clip to sort of like grip it on this side, and it will hold it in place while you then have 2 hands free to wiggle the wire through. This isn't so much of a problem on the standard gauge machines, but on the mid gauge I've got an 860 and my chunky 155. The beds are much deeper and you need to be a contortionist to get around them sometimes, so the bulldog clip holds that nicely in place, and I've got my 2 prongs in the middle of my ribber comb painted with red nail polish so I can line them up with the centre nought. So on this piece I'm going to put on 3 weights. And then I will knit my zigzag rows as normal. So that's left set lever on the ribber to nought. Knit 1 row, main carriage to slip, knit 1 row, main carriage back to stockinette, left set lever still on nought, 3rd circular row. Now this is where the magic happens. Take your ravel cord and run it through your hand just to make sure you haven't got a knot in it, because if you have a knot in it you won't be able to get it out afterwards without cutting it, so make sure there's no knots. Now what you have to do with the ravel cord is just lay it into the channel between the 2 beds. Make sure it doesn't get caught up in any needles, hooks, sinker posts or anything like that. And as you can see, it is sitting there in between the 2 lots of needles, and that's all you have to do. And now hold both ends of that ravel cord down underneath as you commence your main ribbing. So you obviously want to put your left set lever back down to 1, alter your tensions, your stitch sizes up to 3 and 3, and make sure that you're ready to knit. Reset your row counter and hold both ends of that ravel cord together underneath the knitting and just knit your rib. You can let go after a few rows. Now I should just knit away a few rows of ribbing so I can take this off and then show you how to eliminate the frill. That's probably enough. I've done about 35 rows. So obviously normally at the end of your ribbing you'd be transferring up to your main bed and carrying on your knitting, but I'm just going to take this off the machine now and show you what you do at the end. So remove your big weights, break the yarn, and drop the knitting off the machine. And now to get rid of the frilly bit at the end, let's just pull the wire out so that it drops off the comb. And at this point you have still got a frilly bit of knitting. All you do is get that that ravel cord and pull it, tug down on your ribbing a bit and then remove it. And hey presto, frilly rib has gone. Sorry, I was waiting for the round of applause. No, not really. Well, I've lost the other piece that I did. Oh, I've lost it. Oh, here it is, under my thing. So there is the original one that I didn't do anything to, and there is the one underneath that had the ravel cord through it. I think you can see that produces a very nice neat edge of ribbing without having broken anybody's toes. So I hope you enjoy that. Thank you.